inevitable.
Oh yeah. This is another Chaos Central production. Chaos List, starring my main man Nzo, 1/3 of the three-headed monster we call the Chaos Central crew. This intro is by this show, the Chaos List. I hope you like it, bro. Here we go. The Chaos List is the name of the show, and the name of the host you know is Nzo. If you say something crazy, dumb, stupid, or wrong, it's a one-way trip to the fandom zone to be like Nzo. Hold up, I didn't mean it. Guess what, son? Your ass should have seen it coming. Gotta watch what you say, just like the Mandalorian. And this is the way. Monday night, 9 o'clock. Second Monday of the month. This is the spot. So get ready. Strap on in. The crew is ready, so let's begin. So let's go.
What is up, people? What is going on? Welcome. We are back here for another debate. This time, it is going to be me versus Chris, and we are going to talk about kind of like Andor, and I'm not going to say the word, but SA. I guess you guys can figure it out. We all know what happens in the Andor series, so we're going to debate on that one. Danny is going to be the moderator. So before we get started, Mr. Knight, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
You can find me over on The Real Review 3000. We do generic stuff, geek stuff. We do pop culture stuff, music, all that fun stuff. And you can find me normally every Sunday right now on the weekly wrap up. And of course, here every Monday, the first 3 Mondays at least of the month. And we do 3 different shows. Of course, tonight's Onzo's, last week was Danny's, next week is mine. So you can check us out here. And then I jump up and where I can be on multiple streams across the interwebs. So yeah, that's what you can find me.
Absolutely. And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Danny Graham. Tell the people where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on my channel on Mondays and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also Wednesdays on the Hangout at 8 p.m. and Sundays on Strong Live again at 8 p.m. And of course, sometime on those shows on on Wednesday nights, the OOC. And of course, 3 Mondays in a row. You can find us right here on the Chaos Central Network doing our thing.
Absolutely. And we appreciate everybody that comes in here to watch us and, enjoys it and have some fun. But we are definitely going to get into it tonight. Hey, David, how you doing, brother? Thank you for popping in. Much appreciated. I got the wheel here. So we're going to bring up the wheel, and we are going to see who will go first on this round. So I'll spin the wheel. Ooh,
2 weeks in a row.
That was close. That was close. I thought it was going to be me. But we already have who is going to go first. So it will be Mr. Chris Knight. Hold on. Let me remove this crap. There we go. And share. All right. Mr. Knight, you have the floor. Are you sure Canada doesn't want to join? It'll get the California treatment. No, we do not want to be a part of the 52nd state. That's not happening. 51st, sorry. 51st, yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening.
All right.
Don't I need to be the moderator and explain what's going on?
Yeah, sure.
Go right ahead, Danny.
Okay.
Well, wait, really quick. Sorry, really quick, though. I want to ask this. When we're running this, so like, for instance, Danny, and next time we do it, me, do we run it the way we want? Is that basically how this is going to work?
Well, I mean, we have the way we did it last time, the regular way.
Yeah,
more or less. You can put your touches on it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's what. Okay, sorry, Danny. Go ahead.
All right. Now, tonight, the argument is sexual assault, does it fit in the Star Wars lore? I want to make sure.
That's and right. From this point on, really quick, from this point on, SA.
Okay.
So we don't get pulled off.
Right.
I don't know if we can or not. So.
All right. Okay. I already said it. Now we'll abbreviate. That's SA. You know what that stands for. Does it fit into the Star Wars lore? Alonzo would be arguing against, and Chris would be arguing more or less for. He don't necessarily agree with it, but for the sake of this debate, that's what it's going to be. Each person will get 5 minutes, and then after that, each person can respond back to certain points the other one made, which will be about 2 minutes. Then I got 2 questions for each one. Then I have one question that both of them can answer. So, yeah, you say something, Monzo?
No, go ahead.
Oh, so let me get the timer going for Chris, and he have his opening remarks. And again, does SA fit into the Star Wars lore? And Chris, you can start now.
All right. So let me be clear here from the start that I do not condone predatory behavior or SA in any form. And what I'm arguing today is that when fictional works like Andor include or imply the predatory or abuse of power, that they're not glorifying it. They're reflecting a real world evil that deserves attention, not silence. Now, Andor, the difference between this and a lot of other Star Wars, which I think allows it a chance to bring something like SA into it, is that Andor is grounded. It's mature Star Wars, and it doesn't shy away from the brutality of the rebellion or the oppression of the Empire. Now, in season 2, episode 3, Bix is clearly targeted in a predatory and coercive way by an Imperial officer. It is unsettling, and it should be. But it's also realistic. Totalitarian regimes thrive on this kind of power imbalance. They thrive on the fact that they can wield their power whenever they want on whoever they want and in whatever way that they want. So by including scenes like this, Star Wars moves beyond fantasy to portray a real emotional and psychological toll of oppression. Survivors may recognize the pain on screen as something that they've gone through, but it's more important that they see the strength in how characters resist that power or survive or reclaim their own power back. And if we show murder, torture, and genocide in Star Wars, why is it wrong to show something that affects millions of people in real life, especially when it's done with care and gravity? Sometimes fiction must make us uncomfortable so that we can see the truth and respond to it. That's my opening statement.
All right.
Okay. Not bad. And that was how long? 250. All right. Also, I'm going to reset the timer. And then you
let me know when you
have yours. And go now.
All right. So the question is, does SA belong in Star Wars? The answer to that question is an absolute no. Now, Star Wars has always been for kids, and that comes from the man himself, George Lucas. There are multiple videos online of him saying so. Now, I know that my opponent will tell you that George Lucas contradicts himself all the time, and that that may be true when it comes to certain situations, but when it comes to his storytelling, he's never actually contradicted that. But the one thing he's never done is contradicted anything about Star Wars not being for kids. And hold on. Star Wars was always about, and who it was for. Star Wars is always about, and what it's about is Star Wars has been about good, evil, Jedi, Sith, and family, all created for 12-year-olds. Now, I'm not saying Star Wars, there can't be things that belong in Star Wars that are adult, because they have put adult themes in Star Wars before. But when it was created, George Lucas literally said that it was created for the younger generations. When George Lucas created Revenge of the Sith, he was worried about the audience being kind of upset because it was too dark, right? So he had a little bit of worry about it being too dark. And it was Anakin did what he did, where he, kind of, offed off the kids but it was implied. It wasn't showed. Now, Andor is for adult fans, which I get it. It's fine. That's fine. But Star Wars is a face opera, fantasy, and in a galaxy far, far away. And when you start adding real life elements like sexual assault to Star Wars, then you take away the elements of what Star Wars really is, right? So that's why I have a problem with them adding sexual assault into Star Wars. Now, I know, hold on. Now I know, again, Chris will tell you that what hold on. Oh, okay. Now I know the same things. Chris will tell you that Star Wars, this is what you can put in Star Wars. But just because you pour syrup on shit, don't make it pancakes. When George Lucas sold Star Wars, he was told they would stay true to his characters, that Kathleen Kennedy would stay true to the characters and the world he created. And there is no point in time where they did that. They ruined every original character just to fit an agenda. They decided to skip storytelling to fit that agenda. They decided to skip telling stories and sending positive messages, but they put in an agenda. Even when people say that they get it right, like some say about Andor, they still ruin it by adding SA. In a world where the Empire is more like school bullies and like the chick that thinks she's better than everybody, everybody's beneath her. Sexual assault is, SA is beneath the Empire. The Empire is about power, domination, running the world, right? So, I mean, George Lucas is on recording, and I quote, saying that I should not say this, but Star Wars is and always has been for the kids. Kathleen Kennedy, promised to uphold Star Wars lore, and she fell flat and stabbed George and lied right in front of his face. She has always made sure her agenda got played out the way she wanted it to get played out, and this is no different. Women good, man bad. At the end of the day, nobody wants to see real world scenarios in a fantasy show setting in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars is and always is about fantastical, about place where creatures, Jedi, Sith existed. It's about escaping from the real world drama to immerse yourself into a world that is far beyond our beliefs. And when you add real life elements, you cheapen that experience and take away from everything that Star Wars is. Movies and shows that were created for the imagination of young boys and some girls. And that is why SA does not belong in Star Wars.
Very good opening. Read, Chris, can you read the private chat?
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Both of the opponents came out strong. I got a quick question for each one of them. Since Chris went first, the first question I have, one or two for each person, is when you saw the essay on Andor, did it lessen your enjoyment of the show at all? Or did it enhance
Who are you asking first? Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't lessen my enjoyment. I guess enjoyment's a weird word for me in this case. I like Andor a lot. I like its approach to Star Wars. Did it lessen? No. I think it woke me to a point
Let me
wow.
do a little bit better.
Okay.
Did it make you kind of cringe when you saw that in that particular IP?
Well, I would ask anybody, does any movie, any documentary, any fantasy, anything that's portrayed SA, does it make you feel good? You're like, oh yes, I'm so glad to see this here.
I know.
Okay, well that's my point. That's my point though. No, I do cringe, but I think that's the whole point of it. It's supposed to show you, and this is how I took it. When I saw it, it's supposed to show that the Empire and the people in the Empire will take what they want when they want because they think they can. And that's a lot of the theme in the show, like it or not. So yes, it made me cringe, but not in a way that made me want to turn it off and not watch it.
Okay. All right. Azra, question for you.
Yes.
You said in your opening statement that Kathleen Kennedy did not live up to her word. She made certain promises to George Lucas, and I want to throw in a word: ownership. The fact that's ownership, that you own something. And she decided to go one way versus what she promised George Lucas. And seeing that, does that essay even move the needle one way or the other to the casual fan, or is it to the hardcore fan like we are? For the casual fan, do you think seeing essay in Star Wars is going to move the needle one way or the other?
So I think Kathleen Kennedy already had moved that needle to the other side when she first started making Star Wars movies. But at the end of the day, what her promise was to stay true to George Lucas's characters and George Lucas's story. Now, regardless of whether it's an adult show or not, George Lucas did what we know of had a plan to make an adult Star Wars. But the question is, do you think that George Lucas would have even considered putting something like that in Star Wars? I personally do not. I do not think that George Lucas would have done that. Now, unless you can bring up, Anakin, off the younglings, right? But that was implied. A lightsaber popped up, and then the scene skipped to something else, right?
And also, he killed all of the sand people too.
Right, exactly. And again, even hold on, let me finish. You get your turn. Even with that, right? Even with that, lightsaber lights up, boom, flips to another scene. Now, what we saw in Andor was actually an attempt to do so, right? An attempt to take someone's, sexuality, right? And that to me is something that does not fit into Star Wars. For me, I think that alone, maybe if you would have done it differently, it could have been different. But to me, the way they did it did not belong into Star Wars.
Okay. Your response to that, Chris, or something you want to say?
I was just going to say this. First and foremost, it doesn't matter what George Lucas wanted. That has nothing to do with it anymore. He doesn't have any say in it. And then I'm going to bring up this point. Over 2 billion people were murdered on screen, or killed on screen in the first Star Wars movie. They blew up a Death Star. They blew up a whole planet. They kill a bunch of stormtroopers. A bunch of rebels die. It's not like I guess it's the way that it gets portrayed. I understand he said it was a kids movie, and I think still for the most part we see more kids stuff in Star Wars, but I don't think he ever truthfully meant that it was only a kids movie or a kids show. There are parts that when you grow up and you go back and you watch the trilogies, the first two, we're not going to talk about the third trilogy. The first two trilogies, when you look at it, when you're younger, you see certain things. I loved Return of the Jedi when I was growing up. When I got older, I looked at Return of the Jedi and I said, man, this is way too kiddie. But the first two movies weren't. And I find more enjoyment then in the first two of the original trilogy. And then I think that he did a very good job of incorporating all of it in the prequel trilogy. So again, yes, you're right. I am going to state that he backtracks on what he says a lot. And he has stated that this is about politics. This is about oppression. This is about all these things. And originally his storyline was it comes from the perspective of the robots, C-3PO and R2-D2. So while it might come as a child life perspective, not all of it's a child life perspective. As Luke Skywalker grows, you grow. And that's how it's supposed to be. By the end of it, you understand why he does what he does. You understand why he is now the Jedi who's struggling with these emotions. You're supposed to grow with the characters, not stay as a kid and see it from this whimsical side of it. I think so. And again, it doesn't matter what he wanted anymore. That has nothing to do with it anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna counter that real quick, right? Because yes, Okay, you do say that, oh, well, maybe he didn't intend it or not completely intended it for 12-year-olds. Yes, he did. But you can also do 12-year-old stuff where it's adults can enjoy it too, i.e., some of these Pixar movies, right? These Pixar movies that you go and watch are strictly for kids, but they put adult elements in it so that adults go and they go see it. They're not, oh my God, I can't believe this crap. Like, for example, my son used to watch Elmo Palooza as a kid every day. And I would not, I like that shit drove me up a wall. You know what I mean? But then when you go to something like The Incredibles or something like that, it's for kids, but it has adult themes in it. So you can do it in a way where you have adult themes in it. Now, you talked about the genocide. 100%. All of that is there, but it's not really shown. You don't see people burning up on Andor when it blows up. You know what I mean? You see the planet blowing up, you know that people have died, but you don't actually get the visual of the planet exploding and people dying and floating around in space and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I think that yes, saying it's for kids could be kind of a contradiction because it has adult themes in it. But at the end of the day, when Star Wars was originally made, and Ray saying no, he didn't, but you can go online and see multiple videos of George Lucas actually saying that Star Wars is for 12-year-old kids. Now, Chris is correct. He doesn't own Star Wars anymore. So that goes out the window, right? But when you have the woman that you put in charge telling him that they are going to stay true to his stories, then that makes the difference. It's not like it was like, oh, we're going to give Star Wars to you and you do whatever you want to it. No, they said specifically they were going to stay true to George Lucas's characters and visions.
People talk about buying a house and they'll tell them, oh, I understand it's your family home. Doesn't mean, even if they tell you they're going to keep it the same way, doesn't mean they have to. They can say whatever they want.
You are correct.
So that means nothing. It means nothing what she said.
Well, okay.
Especially to this argument, I think
100% does. Go ahead, Danny.
All right, I got another question for this. I'm give you this Nzo. Okay, you said, and your point is that SA doesn't belong in here because of certain promises and certain agreements made at the selling of the IP, correct?
Yes.
All right. There is a saying called art imitates life. So if someone else gets the reins of your baby, so to speak, and that being the Star Wars property, and they have a change of heart or a different, which we see apparently happen with Kathleen Kennedy. So let's say Star Wars decides to show a scene. I'm going to use a character, Emperor Palpatine, and it shows a scene where he is satisfying some of his physical needs. If they showed that, do you think it would turn fans off? Something of that nature?
I absolutely do. And let me be fair to you about this point too. There are certain movies that I watch, and there's one that comes to mind right away, which is the Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone movie. Can't remember. I think it's called Assassins, right? Movie is great. But all of a sudden, they stopped that movie to put in this whack-ass sex scene. And to me, it's just like, it didn't fit. You know what I mean? Like, you could have done without this whole scene. So that's what I'm saying. So even if you were to say, like, oh, Palpatine was doing the nasty, right? Which technically he was, because he has Ray, right? So Palpatine was doing the nasty. We know that, right? Ray said there's Baby Yoda. Yes, we know that. Padme was pregnant. Okay, so we all know what they're doing, right? But again, there's ways in these shows, and especially in the Star Wars show, where you can imply it, but you don't have to show it. Now, for me, I'll say when you're doing an adult show like a Star Wars show, I guess everything is on limits, right? It's an adult show. It's you're changing it to where it's not for 12-year-old boys. I get that 100%. But at the same time, if you're trying to keep the Star Wars fans, if you're trying to, get new fans, then you have to pretty much, and I'm sorry, yes, you can do it the way you want to do it. but people have this perception that Star Wars is George Lucas. And if you go too much away from that, then you're going to destroy what people think Star Wars is, right? Because I see my opponent shaking his head, but at the end of the day, majority of the people like the first 6 and hate the sequels. You know what I mean? So that to me, to that point, is kind of like they moved away from what George Lucas was planning on doing. George Lucas's sequels could have been trash, right? But they would have felt like Star Wars because he is the creator. What they're doing now doesn't feel like Star Wars. So if you want to do certain stuff like this, it has to feel more like Star Wars. And then people will be like, okay, I can do that. I can see that.
Okay. I got a second question for you, Chris. Are you going to respond to that?
Give me the question one more time and I'll see if I
All right. The second question for you is, again,
I was going to say, what was his question?
You just answered it.
I know, but what was it? What was it again? I want that way.
Star
I know.
Wars shows scenes like the Emperor Palpatine satisfying his male needs. Would that turn off the audience?
Okay.
Right.
No, I'll let his statement stand on that one.
All right. Your question is, do you think Dave Filoni, who seems to be the heir apparent to Star Wars, do you think he would greenlight in the future a SA scene in the live action Star Wars movie? And if so, how do you think that will affect how the fans feel about that particular scene, that movie, that IP?
If the situation was brought up in the way that this particular situation was, again, perhaps, but I don't know if he'd feel like it was necessary. I don't think this is something, and I think somebody said it in here. Where was it? I will go to where basically I can't remember who said it, but somebody in the chat stated that if you do it all the time, it loses its importance or the reason for it. So I don't know if he would do it again. I guess if he saw the need for it or a need for it in a scene that helped form the scene, I would understand why he would do it. I don't think anybody, including in this situation, was necessarily looking to do it. So if he does it again, if it's him, Kathleen Kennedy, or whoever, if it came up again, I would just hope that it's in a similar situation and handled in a very similar way as this is, or that this particular one was, because it was handled about as well as you could handle it.
Okay. Now I got a question for both of y'all. If Star Wars, for whatever reason, is upgraded to a rated R movie, we see blood, we see guts, we see whatever. We see situations, adult situations like rape, prostitution, same-sex situations. Will that be accepted as art imitating life, or will that be a turnoff for the mass majority of fans?
So I'm trying to find out.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I just want to add on this. We saw in Andor that the lady, she was on some kind of narcotic, correct? So we're starting to see some of this stuff in little doses. Also, if you want to go back to what's the show that none of us like, The Acolyte, there was a scene where he was nude, taking a bath, whatever, and I heard some things saying about that.
In what?
In The Acolyte.
Oh,
There was a scene where the guy was in the river bathing. I guess Lake Minnetonka bathing.
Yeah.
I heard some people made some comments about that. So it was a little risque.
So
if we start seeing these more adult situations, and based on the premises of the Matrix that art imitates life, will this be something that's accepted by the mass majority of Star Wars fans, or will people start like, I don't know.
I will say that I don't think it'll go to rated R. There is some truth to, I think PG-13 is about as far as you need to take Star Wars.
I'm not saying in this scenario.
Okay, but
one more thing.
Again,
now,
okay, go ahead.
We saw how fans were kind of turned off about Lando Calrissian being pansexual, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, based on what we've seen so far in the track record, the original question, and let's say in this hypothetical, it is rated R. Would that be a mistake for the franchise, or could that be something that people will accept?
As with anything,
yep,
it's how it's done. The reason why Lando, I think that was a problem, and I don't know this. I'm not trying to promote it because I didn't particularly like it. In fact, I tried to stay as la 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 during the scenes where it really is heavily implied that they have something together, the droid and him. And I can get past it kind of because it's there, but it's not, I don't know. Anyways, it wasn't done properly there. And I don't know what would have been proper. I think in a situation like that, when you're talking to Star Wars, if it's an alien that you don't know exactly what the alien is or anything like that, that's how you introduce something like that to a movie such as Solo. But I think if it's done properly and it's not kind of what Nzo said about the sex scene with Stallone and Stone, it's all about how it's done. I've always said, I don't care what color or race or sexual background an actor has. I don't care if the actor has said horrible things like Mel Gibson. I don't care because I don't care about the actor. I don't know the actor. I don't know if he said it just to get a rise or she said it to get a rise. Roseanne Barr, all these people who've done stupid stuff. I care that the person can act and can do the part. And it's the same thing in this situation. If it's rated R and the situation calls for blood, fine. If it works there, fine. If it calls for an intimate moment that you want to show more of than has been shown in Star Wars before, and it fits where it belongs, fine. It's when it's done like what Nzo said. If it's just because we want to put, TNA in Star Wars and show everything, and we're just doing it because, ooh, look, wow. I almost equate this. This is the same argument of, does Deadpool need to be rated R and should Disney put it out there? Yes, because Deadpool, that's how it is. But look at how they did it. It just fit as Deadpool. It worked out well, but it still now exists in a place that in a lot of ways kids can watch. Not everything. It gets kind of dark at times, but so does Star Wars. So I think in the right place, in the right time, in the right vein, in the right way, it could work. But if it's not done right, much like a lot of the people think about the sequel trilogy, people aren't going to like it. It still has to make sense. It still needs to be written right and acted right.
All right. So Chris is correct. You can do certain things right, and it has to be written right and has to be acted right. If they did an R-rated Star Wars, I would be cool with it, right? But you can do R-rated Star Wars without having certain sexual elements into it, right? Head chopping off, blood. I would say cursing, but cursing, again, to me, doesn't fit in Star Wars because it's more of a real world type of thing, right? Now, if you want to do it in like certain language, like Banta Fudo and stuff like that, that's funny. That works. You know what I mean? But when you're, hey, Han Solo running down the street, I'm going to kill, or let's use Mace Windu, right? Because Mace Windu is more funnier, right? Right? So I know, you know where I'm going with this, right? This motherfucker needs to die. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing with that? No, we can't have Mace. We can't have Mace Windu.
Bravo, Mace. Bravo.
We can't have Mace Windu running around calling everybody a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because again, you read the title of Star Wars, in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, right? This is something that is supposed to take you away from real world elements, right? Nothing in Star Wars is real world, right? No spaceships, no aliens, no robots. Well, robots may be coming thanks to Elon Musk, but at this point, no robots, right? So that's what Star Wars has always been about. It's about escapism, right? You're going into these fantasy operas to get out of real world elements. And when you start putting real world elements, and that includes the writing as well, sometimes, and I've said it many times, where I'm listening to the way the people talk in Star Wars, and I'm like, that's not Star Wars. They don't talk like that in Star Wars, right? At least they're not supposed to talk like that in Star Wars. But again, it's not owned by George Lucas anymore, so they can do whatever they want to do. They can write it whenever the way they want to do. But again, what's alienating the fans is that, one, they're putting way too much agendas into a Star Wars movie instead of working on a good script or a good story, right? And two, they're making it feel more like real world elements. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of this. Even though I didn't think Skeleton Crew was bad, but we all watched that trailer, and when we seen these people in the suburbs, we were like, what the hell is this? This does not look or feel like Star Wars. Now, again, it's a short little view, whatever, boom, and then they go on space, and you get Star Wars, right? So Skeleton Crew isn't bad, but at the same time, that part threw me personally out of it, because I'm like, that looks like freaking somewhere in the States. You know what I mean? You got people walking their dogs, or their creatures are walking dogs and stuff like that. And it just didn't feel like it was Star Wars to me. So yes, you can do an R-rated Star Wars 100%. I would be down for that, as long as you stick to what at least I think Star Wars is. So
Can I answer part of this really quick here?
yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing. We keep talking about, oh, well, it wasn't meant to emulate real world, whatever. I understand that. Do you realize that every bit of the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope, every fight scene that the X-Wings had and the TIE fighters had, when he first showed it to everybody, he clipped World War II news and video of dogfights and put it in. And then he basically told the art department and told the graphics people, do this exactly. And if you go and you see what he put in first, and then you see what they did, it's the exact same shot. He still used real world elements and transposed them into a fantasy like state. But again, he did that so it transcended time, not so it got away from reality. Because here's the thing, he wants people to question the themes that are in their own world. It was about mythologies. Mythologies are not meant for one group of people. They are transposed, translated, remade, and retold in the same differently multiple times over, but in essence, it's the same story. So this is still based in some form of real world truth. So there is elements of real world in it. And to say that he never intended to have anything real world in it a long time ago, far, far away, does not mean it couldn't happen. And it didn't mean that it was before our time. It just meant somewhere else and at some other time. That's all that was intended for. And again, Andor is adult. It's meant for adults. So I guess I'm saying that there are points in this that it can sway one way or another. That's why I said right place, right time.
So yes, Chris, you are absolutely right. He did take images of a World War III fighter planes, the dog fight and all that, and added in stars. 100%. That you could say, if you want to say he took real life elements to do that, that is fine. I agree with you. But at the same time, that is totally different than watching someone get SA'd. Totally different. All you're doing is taking visuals from a fight that you liked and putting it into a space opera, Star Wars type of thing. So that's fine, right? But when you're talking about now what they're doing with this dude trying to get some punani, it's totally different. It's apples and
that
oranges.
that wasn't anything really where I was going with that. I was going with the fact that the empire was based off of the Nazi regime. In fact, the studio questioned how closely he was invoking themes of the Nazis, that they really were worried about it. And again, these things are told from a fantasy's perspective, but with real world elements entwined in them. That's what I'm saying. Whether or not it's real or not, he is taking directly from things that the world has known. The Huns, the Romans, the Nazis, the, whatever you want to say, the conquistadors that took over the Aztecs. This story is invoked in history. This story you're watching has a real world element to it. Every generation in the world has seen something like this. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, all that, the Viet Cong. And he even says it. Yeah, I've seen the interview where he states that the United States has now become the empire. So what it also is trying to state is that the rebels become the empire becomes the rebels, and it goes back and forth. It just depends on what side of the story you are on. And the best thing about Andor is it shows that very clearly, that both sides are deep down in the trenches. They're very, very, very similar, and the lines are blurred because people are willing to do things that they may not normally be able to do because they believe their cause is right. And that is intertwined heavily in all Star Wars. So it does not change the fact that there are real world elements that are intertwined in all Star Wars. It's how close to reality are you willing to get? Andor wanted to explore the inner workings of the Empire and the rebels, and the beginning of the rebels and all that, from a dirty, down to earth perspective. And in my opinion, it works perfect, especially in Star Wars. What you're seeing is, think of it this way. You're seeing Star Wars, the George Lucas stuff in the movies was like what Indiana Jones is showing the Nazis. You don't see all the dirty stuff. Andor is what really happened in real life. This is a history book's telling of what Star Wars shows in a movie. So that's how I would go, is that but Andor's, if you wrote an actual history book based off of what really happened. So I think it works in the element. It's just depending on what you want to watch.
So yes, and no one is debating that there are real world elements of Star Wars. Nobody is debating that. But there are certain things that are off limits. So for example, if you do a movie, not just Star Wars, any movie, when you do a movie, any movie, right? You can put people killing, getting their heads chopped off, whatever, you'll get a PG-13 rating. The minute you put something sexual or a sexual assault in there, you're getting an R rating. That is because
you got a TV 14.
Yeah, but it's because it's on Disney Plus, whatever. But and again, they didn't go as far as to show the whole thing, obviously, right? So what I'm trying to say is, to 12-year-olds, to kids, those are some things that they won't market. They won't market anything that has to do with like sexual assault or anything like that, rape or anything like that. That's not what it's marketed for. But yeah, action movies, guns blazing, people getting shot, killed, whatever. Yeah, hey, that's what kids, little boys, that's what we like. That's what we want to see. But at the end of the day, when it comes to certain things as sexual, they're going to have to hide. And I know as a father, I did that, right? So for example, I used to watch Lord of the Rings, the first one, a lot, right? And my son was young. So he came into my room to watch it, and it was like, oh, shit, as soon as he come in, they chopped off the orc's head, and my son kind of laughed, right? And I was like, oh, you're not scared of that? And he was like, no. So I realized at that point, okay, maybe he kind of getting a little understanding, so I could show him a little bit more, right? Because I've never been the one to like shelter my kids from anything, my son from anything. So I'm like, I could show him a little bit more. But then when you get to sexual stuff, even at 12 years old, you feel a way to watch that or see your kid watching something like that. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I feel like at the end of the day, when you do something like this, it doesn't fit into the Star Wars lore. That's just my opinion.
Did you watch the scene?
I did.
All right.
I did. So, Danny, you're muted.
Okay, gentlemen, we have seen the polls in the chat, so go ahead and make your votes. We're going to go ahead and let each person have their closing arguments, and then we will stop the poll and see whether or not the poll people that voted. Right now, we got 11 votes, and it says, does SA fit or belong in Star Wars? And right now, like I said, we got 11 votes. So I'm going to let Nzo go first with his closing, and then we'll have Chris.
All right. So, I kind of missed the question part, but I'll just go, Chris. Chris, did you have any questions for me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay, Danny. It's okay.
Let's see here.
Really? This is what we're doing. We're debating here, Ray. We protect Danny with our lives. Yes.
If you're okay with villains committing murder or genocide in Star Wars, why is predatory behavior, especially if only implied, which it was implied, but it was not direct? Why is that line why is that the line that shouldn't be crossed?
So my answer to that is I think they went a little bit too far with the implying. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So yes, you can imply certain things like you said, the genocide, the killing of the kids, it was implied. You know what I mean? And again, you could have had it a certain way where, you know, Anakin force choked the kid up in the air and then cut the scene there, right? And then you're like, oh, that's a little bit too much, right? So yeah.
But he chokes his wife.
But
it's not a kid though.
What do you think is worse, to see for a child or someone in that 12-year-old market to see an actual murder, or someone to see the actual SA? Because on my memory, seeing your legs get chopped off, your hand get chopped off, your head get chopped off is pretty graphic, and all that happened in the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, like I said, when it comes to 12-year-old kids, I think by the time they're that age, they've seen, you know, action movies. They've seen people get shot. They've seen people get beat. They've seen people get murdered. But the one thing you usually keep from a 12-year-old kid is SA. Now, I know Mike said some kids are having sexual contact at 12, which is correct. Some are. That I never deny that. And good for you for being one of them. You know what I mean? And that's fine. But at the end of the day, most kids don't, right? And I feel we got to still let kids be kids, right? And again, when we were growing up, cowboys and Indians, they used to sell toy guns and everything like that. I had cap guns, everything. They don't do stuff like that anymore, right? You can't buy cap guns or, you know, guns like that anymore. So they took that away, right? So for me, I just think that at the end of the day, when it comes to certain things you can watch, but certain things you have to protect these children and show them not show them certain things. That's my opinion when it comes to that.
All right, Chris, your closing remarks.
Well, I was going to let him do his closing remarks. He was talking about questions, so I asked him a question. If he wants to ask me one, I would let him.
My question is, you know what? I don't think I have any, but if I do, I'll come back to it. Right now, I don't have a question.
Okay. Well, it's closing arguments, so
Yes, sir.
that's go
So,
ahead.
in closing, I want to say I have been a Star Wars fan since I was 3 years old. Okay. I went to the theaters at 3 with my father to see Star Wars. And it was an experience at 3 that I will never forget. Because to be honest with you, I think it was the only movie me and my dad ever ended up going to. Right. So, um, I think that that's the kind of experience that we need to bring back to these kids. When I took my son to see Phantom Menace, right? Because not Phantom Menace, sorry, Revenge of the Sith. He was old enough at that time to go to theater and see it. He had his lightsaber, he had his Darth Vader mask, and everything. And that's what it has always been about. It always has been about the kids enjoying these Star Wars movies and kids having a good time. I think when you put SA into it, then you're alienating a certain group of kids. My son was like 8 years old when he went to go see Star Wars. You think I could have taken him to see it if they had a scene like that in it? I wouldn't have been able to take him to see it, or I would have to cover his eyes, you know. But that's why I'm saying. So watching Luke get his hand cut off, watching Anakin get his legs cut off, he was fine with that. It was cool. I knew he could understand that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to certain sexual things, I was avoiding him to see those things at all costs, right? Till he was old enough, of course, right? But at the end of the day, Star Wars, like George Lucas has said, has always been for the kids. Now, I get it that it was someone else that, owns it now, and they can do whatever they want to. But at the end of the day, I think, and we talk about this a lot of times, people, when it comes to race bending, they don't want to see their characters in a different color. They don't want to see their characters race bent or gender bent. They want to see the characters the way they were. So why is it a problem for people want to see Star Wars as Star Wars was originally created for? Right? That's what we want to see. We want to see fantastical. We want to see good versus evil. And then we want to see family, because that's what Star Wars has been about. That's what we want to see. And when you put certain things in there, you take that away from family. You take that away from, taking your kids to go see it. Because, and I get that the scene was implied, it wasn't that bad. So yes, kids could watch under 100%. But if you go a little bit further than that, then you may be alienating people. And that's why I say it's better for you to keep that element out, sexual elements and all that out of Star Wars, and just keep it to what it's been. You know what I mean? You can make adult Star Wars. You can do that 100%, but you still have to stick to what I think George Lucas has intended Star Wars to be. That's just my opinion.
All right, Mr. Knight, it's your turn for closing arguments. You're muted.
A few points to what he said. First off, I think you proved my point that your son wasn't old enough when the prequel started, and by the time the third one came out, he had grown up with it, and that's what I said. Star Wars wasn't always intended to be just for kids. He thought, "Here's my kids," and as his kids got older, things changed, and I think that's part of the point here. Also, just because you don't want to see it in there doesn't mean that other people aren't willing to allow it to go more adult or be more grounded. Also, with that fact, it seems to me that that means what you're arguing is that I shouldn't be watching the Clone Wars or anything that's more kid oriented, because it's not meant for adults. That's definitely made for kids. It's also the parents' job to decide, is this something my kid needs to see right now, or is this something I show him when he gets older? That's the whole point of being a parent. Now, we all want Star Wars to be meaningful, but meaningful doesn't always mean comfortable. When shows like Andor touch on dark realities in like predation or coercion, they aren't ruining the universe. They're deepening it. Characters like Bix, when placed in horrifying situations, remind us that courage exists even when it's quiet. And for some viewers, especially survivors of abuse, that message can be life-changing. It might be the one thing that gets them out of a situation. I had a friend just recently who got shot by her husband, and they both, well, he unalived both of them. And we all knew she was in a bad situation. I'm not saying that Star Wars could have saved her, but if she had seen that, maybe that person, maybe another person down the road looks at it and is uplifted by it, saying, I don't need to let this happen anymore. I'm not saying that it could be like that, but it could be. Fictional worlds like Star Wars must continue to evolve to reflect real struggles. And if we can handle blaster fire, torture droids, the torture that Han Solo had, where you see it beginning, all the blood, the genocide, the legs cut off, heads cut off, then we can, and in a sense, we must also confront the everyday evils of predatory behavior. Not to glorify them, but to normalize them. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where they are normal. This is how it is. And if we show what resistance really means and what survival really looks like, in the end, what's more powerful? The sanitized version of evil or a truthful one that we can actually learn from? That's what I'm getting to. So that's my closing argument.
Okay. For those of us watching, you need to go ahead and vote. We're going to put 1 more minute. We'll do a timer, and then Chris, you can close the polls down, and
Yep.
we will announce the winner. Let me get the timer. I'm going to put 1 minute on there, and we're starting now.
Yes,
I can
sir.
definitely
Yes,
say
sir.
this was a very interesting topic. I'm glad I didn't get it. But very interesting.
when he said this, like what, 3 weeks ago or something like that, I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, how am I going to argue this? And the only way I can argue it isn't for it, because again, it's not. I mean, not a one of us on this panel right now agree with SA.
Yeah, 100%. But it's your fault, because I remember you guys were doing the Andor thing, and I came on the stream and in the chat, and I said something about it, and you're like, "Oh, it's an adult," you know what I mean? And you didn't actually say like, "Oh yeah, I want to see it in there," but you're saying because it's an adult show, there's not an issue of having it in there, and that's when I like, oh, okay, well, this is a good debate for me and Chris, you know what I mean? So that's when I thought about it.
It will not be the last time I stick my foot in my mouth. That's for sure. I know this.
Well, you are definitely used to sticking something in other places.
Wow!
You know what I
mean?
No.
The minute is up. You can go ahead and end the poll, and we can go and announce who won.
Because I know I put one up on my channel too.
The poll has 12 votes, from what I can see.
Yeah,
12 people voted.
Does not surprise me.
The question is, does SA fit or belong in Star Wars? 58% said yes. 41% said no. 58% said yes. 41% said no. That was pretty close. So it looks like in this particular debate, Mr. Knight was victorious.
What did
Nzo's?
Mine, it was, hold on, let me get to it. Trying to find it. Where's my channel? On mine, I ended the poll. It's 66% for Chris and 33% for me. Only 3 votes on there. So,
okay. Like I said, very interesting topic. Glad I didn't have it. Use too much brain power. But definitely a very interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing rated R Star Wars. I wonder how that would look, especially with the lightsaber action.
I agree totally with Nzo that you got to be very careful with it.
Really, Ray? Really?
Yeah.
Boy. No, but above all, hashtag Team Danny, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's like Team Danny, Team Chris. What am I, chopped liver? You know what I mean? I'm chopped liver. Like, oh yeah, fuck Nzo. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
I don't want to talk about Darth Daddy and lightsabers and all this kind of crazy stuff. So you got the inside track.
But it seems like, I don't know. I would like to see if they do a Mace Windu series and or movie. I would like it to be rated R.
So
if he said, "I'm tired of these MF Sith and these MF," boy, I'll lose it. I'll lose it.
Then we got to get Quentin Tarantino to direct it.
Boy,
that's a question I should have asked too. Like, would you have been okay if they started cursing in Star Wars?
if Mace Windu is, I would.
They have some of them. They have some, but again, like I said, I'm not disagreeing with the idea.
Okay.
I just think that some of it sometimes is okay, but you don't go crazy.
Let me ask you this, Nzo. The scene that we always play is he's too dangerous to be left alive. How about if he said he's too GD dangerous to be alive? Wouldn't it have more oomph if he just says that?
No, I don't like it. I don't like
yeah.
This MF is too effing dangerous.
Yeah. Boy, I've been like,
we need to fucking unalive this MF.
Now, granted, I'm not gonna lie. I would probably laugh and be funny, but then I'd be like, no, that don't fit. You know what I mean?
I would give it a pass to Samuel Jackson, bro. That's what he's synonymous for.
He says,
"What's on the bottom of his? What's on the bottom
of
his
hilt? What's the hilt on his lightsaber? Boom. There you go, right there.
Bam. Bam.
It's like I'm gonna stick this mother effing lifesaver up your mother effing ass.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think
that
I would die laughing. I can't tell you. I would fucking think it would be funny as hell, but it wouldn't fit. I'd be like, no, man, come on.
I try to refrain from the cursing, but on that one, I would thoroughly enjoy
it. But what's funny though is you bring that up, and we were all wondering that when he got cast, and we were like, "What in the world?" But you know what? It's funny how good of an actor. Going back to all about the actor or actress, he's such a great actor that while he didn't say any of those words, we still heard it. We still felt it like that because that's who he is. Yeah, the way he looked.
He had that saber to his throat.
Yeah, exactly. When he comes out, this party's over. No, we heard this MF party's over, bitch. That's what
in the whole movie. He's so calm and reserved.
Yes, exactly.
But when it's time for him to fight, he changes to a different animal, and you can see it in his face.
Yeah, and I think that's why they used him. That's why they got him to be there. You know what I mean? Because of course Samuel L. Jackson. You know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I ever expected like curse words to come out of his mouth. I didn't, you know. But
I'm just saying he's the only one that I think would be accepted. Luke Skywalker cursing, Han Solo cursing,
or Yoda
cursing. No, it would be Yoda would be funny because he probably used it the wrong way.
Ask my kiss.
Yeah,
fucker of mother you are.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, he would mess it up. That would be funny. It wouldn't fit. But it would be funny.
Walks up to end of the Mace Windu movie. He comes up. Fucker of mother are you?
And you know, I just gotta say this, right? I gotta say this. Fuck you, chat. All right, all you motherfuckers that voted for Chris, fuck y'all. All right, because y'all damn well know that you probably liked Andor and wanted to see it or whatever, but you damn well know my argument was fucking better than Chris's. I'm just saying. All right, that's what I'm talking about here.
I like what Ray says here. It says, Anzo, if I don't bully you, it just means I don't like you. Just saying.
Oh no, don't worry. Trust me, you can bully me any day of the week, hon. You're good for it. Get down, you do. Good blow. This is facts.
Wow.
Facts. I voted for Anzo. Yeah, I know you did, DQ. I know you a real one. You know what I mean? You a real one.
It was close on here because 12 people voted.
It's this one here that I'm talking to in general. While Mike, cool guy, knew he's Chris boy, so he's gonna vote for Chris. I get it, 100%. This one here, this one that's on the screen right now, this one here is supposed to be my homie, right? And all I hear throughout this whole damn stream is Danny Chris, Danny Chris, Danny Chris. Watch me and you. Watch me and you. You see, this is why when I come on your stream and you're playing video games, I want to see you get killed. That's exactly why. The Dave Chappelle Star Wars skit.
I think when he was Yoda, I think I saw that one.
Oh, really? I'd have
He was
to go
talking
check
like
that
Yoda
out.
or something. If I'm not mistaken. I think Dave Chappelle was acting like Yoda.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you break it down based off the percentage and 12 votes, it's 6.96 votes yes and just over 5 no. So again, it's very close. And
this was
I expected it. And again, if I lost, I would have understood it because again,
no,
it's a difficult side to take on that. I enjoy it. So.
No, it's definitely fun. Like I didn't win or lose, it doesn't matter. I just want to come on here and have good debates. You know, I remember when we used to do this on Rob's, and I thought it was fun. So I said, you know what, let's try it over here, and I think it's fun too. You know, so
the next one I'm going to moderate, and it's going to be which is the better. How do we put it? Which is the better Star Wars movie?
I'm not sure
Empire
yet.
Strikes Back, or because I'm going to let you come up with the answer because it's going to be you two.
Yeah.
But that's what we're going for, right? Which is
and unless I can find something better, it'll probably be another Star Wars one. But unless I can find something that I could really sink my teeth into with Danny, you know what I'm saying? I want Danny to work.
Like, why are all the MFing cops going after all the black people?
Wow.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But no,
I think Danny might be sick that day.
We ain't gonna be doing that.
I will be sick that day.
I get a text on that Monday, be like, bro, I'm sorry, man. I gotta work, man. All right, Danny, we'll do it tomorrow. I gotta work all week.
I gotta work all year. I gotta work all year. All year. No days off.
I can't stream anymore. I gotta work all the time now, 24/7.
In your ass a cap, I will bust.
We've opened up. You know what's funny is I'll have to come up with them, but it is funny when you get older. You look at Star Wars and you're like, my God, he did not know how to write, because things like you came in that you're braver than I thought. It's like you take the lines out of context and you're like, wow.
Yeah, George Lucas wasn't such a great writer, but he said, hold on, I'll debate you on Star Wars, and I'm not even a huge fan. So listen, if you feel like you want to debate one of us, I think I could do that. I think I could have a guest debater. You know what I mean? Or masturbator.
Guest debater or a masturbator.
Either or. I think both work for me, kind of. You know what I mean? So
I'm zipping up on that one.
Oh my word! This is gone. This is
way south.
Anyways,
but definitely next week will be a debate between me and Danny.
Next
month. Sorry, yeah. Next month will be a debate between me and Danny. Maybe if I get more than one, I'll put up a poll and see what people vote on and what they want to see. I think it'll definitely be a great debater. Said I'm a master debater and a cunning linguist. So why don't you debate Mr. Chris Knight on something? You could do that. You know what I mean? And then I would say,
go ahead.
You see, and that's what I'm saying. I would maybe, if I do to bring a guest on, I would want Brian to come on to debate Danny for the Star Wars, right? Vile Mike come on to debate Chris on something, and then Ray come on to debate me. Me and Ray can debate on the Batman. That's what we could definitely debate on. That piece of shit. All right, that was crap. I don't want to debate Danny though. He is chillingly too calm. You're scared of Danny, eh? I get it.
Hold on, I'm looking up something really quick here.
It's hurting.
What's that?
Got an earache.
Oh, you got earache? Oh, let's fucking go. Oh, really? All right. You know I accept challenges, right? Anyways, the guest debate is something I'm thinking about. Well, I'll talk about it with these guys backstage. But
I
right
don't have a
now,
problem with it.
yeah, okay. So you don't have a problem with it. I don't know if he got the joke.
True.
Yeah,
we got it. I got cutting linguists here. We got that.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. We got it. We got it. So yeah, and if Chris is okay with the guest debaters, we could do something like that.
Yeah, no, I
Down
got
the
no
line.
issues.
Down the line, we could definitely do something like that.
Keep it going for a second, guys, before we close up, because I'm trying to find some stuff out real quick. And I got to create a new password. So
the only reason why I know I would lose that debate is because you got a lot of Batman simps out there that love this crappy ass movie for some reason, right?
No, you're the only one on that planet by yourself, bro. I don't know why.
And I'm gonna stick on that planet by myself. Yes, 100%.
Don't get lonely.
Whatever. Hey, man. I'm used to it. I can deal with it. You know what I mean?
It's not easy being blue.
I could definitely deal with it, you know. So yeah, definitely something we can definitely do. So it'll be very interesting. But all you guys that came in here to watch and chilled out debate, let me know in the chat if you like it. If you like what we're doing over here, and you know, if you want to see more of it, because definitely,
yep,
you'll lose because you're wrong. I'm never wrong. We know this. Danny knows this. Chris knows this. That I'm
no. I don't subscribe to that.
I don't subscribe to that neither.
Really, you guys. Wait, but you guys are my boys. What do you mean? Like
you never wrong.
Yeah. We're not saying we're not your boys. We're just we like to keep you humble there.
Oh wow. Okay, so you do agree with me that I'm always right. You just
no,
trying to
negative.
Trying to keep me humble.
Negative.
That's not it. I thought that was it.
No, that's not it.
You want me to feel your pain? Talk about Black Adam. You see there, Danny. She hates Black Adam. She thinks it's trash. She said, "You're never wrong, but you lost the debate tonight." Yeah, well, we already know why I lost the debate tonight, right? It's not because I actually lost. It's because, you know, you, which would have probably been the deciding vote, voted for Chris and not for me. You know, that's the reason why I lost. But it's okay. No problem.
I won't say
you win some, you lose some.
I won't say Batman is that much better than Black Adam, but I think I had more fun with Black Adam than Batman. To me, I know it's in the superhero genre, but like special effects, Black Adam was leaps and bounds ahead of Batman. But like overall story that had me like intrigued and curious to see, like, to me, it was Batman first year, second year type thing. It was more on his other skills versus all the superhero stuff we see him do. But I like both of them.
You could definitely debate Donnie on Black Adam. She does not like the Black Adam movie.
Oh, we can do it.
Definitely don't like it. That's good.
Shoot, man. You can't tell me that Hawkman and Dr. Fate wasn't fire.
They were 100%.
I'm just saying, she might not like Black. I know a lot of people complain about. I hear all the time with Rob and DJ about him floating all the time. I didn't have a problem with him floating all the time. And they don't like the little kid on the skateboard. Take all that out.
Yeah, I have disdain for Black Adam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, disdain for Black Adam. We have disdain for The Rock.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
A lot of people get them confused.
That movie should not have existed. Wow. Well, you know what? I don't think Andor should have existed. All right. I'm going to say that right in there. Andor should not exist. And I said this from season 1, that Andor was the nighttime sniffly, sneezing, coughing, breaking head so you can sleep medicine. 100%.
Yeah. I agree with you 1,000% with that, boy. I put that in, boy, I'd be like, Andor will help you get your see right there. I already said it.
Facts, Danny, and I had insomnia at the time, you know. So,
so for those of you who have show ideas for us,
what in the world?
Oh, you didn't hate She-Hulk?
Yeah, something wrong with you, buddy.
The Rock had one job and he effed it up.
So
Yeah, go
if
ahead,
you
Chris.
have show ideas for us, I put the emails for the 3 shows. So we all have emails. I think your individual shows, I have attached it to forward it to your emails. So you get those emails for your shows. But the chaotic conversation is the chaotic conversation at chaoscentral.com. The chaos list is the chaos list at chaoscentral.com. And the rule of 3 is the rule of 3 at chaoscentral.com. You can email us for show ideas, or for Nzo's show, if you want to come on and debate one of us, you can email him and tell him the topic you want to debate and who you want to debate that topic with. I would
Give us
say
enough
that's,
time, at least.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
100%. Yeah.
At least a week.
Well,
yeah,
even if they give it, like, even if they say like they want to do it, it'll always be the month after, right? So
yeah. Give us time to work it out. I mean, and all that. But we would love to have you guys give us
How about this?
suggestions.
We always take like the 4th Monday off. Maybe that could be the
there you go.
the guest.
Oh,
week.
yeah,
But
that
also,
works.
also
works.
like on mine where I have the topics and stuff like that. You can send us topics. You can send Danny ideas, anything like that. Anything you want, send it to one of us at our individual shows. You can do that, or info@chaoscentral.com is another.
Yeah, how
one
can we
you
pull
send
that?
it
I
to.
don't have access to that.
No, but I do have it, so you can forward it, or so it forwards to your email. I'll make sure it's all set up, and we'll check it, because
Okay.
I just had to reset the password for it's all through my hosting site, so I'll work it out.
Andor is not better than Obi-Wan.
No, I see. I love Andor, but I liked Obi-Wan. But then again, they're 2 different shows. There are 2 different sides. I wanted to see Obi-Wan because of what I knew it was going to have in it. But and one other thing, before we wrap up, let me share my screen. This right here. Every week on Chaos Central's Twitter, if you could share that for me, Nzo.
Yeah, hold on to it. Okay, there it is.
Every week we have a new poll, just generic questions, or asking you which movie, which song, whatever you'd like more. This week's question on there is: you've been given a terminal diagnosis of cancer. You have 3 months to live. What do you do? Buy a boat and sail off, help your favorite cause, go crazy and wild in Vegas, or spend it with family? Right now, as you see, with 19 votes in, 5 days left, we have 42.1% with spend it with family. So if you are not following Chaos Central, which is at Central Chaos on Twitter, please do. We do have a Facebook page, and we do have an Instagram. I am trying to get back on top of all this again and make sure that our Chaos Central stuff is run. And so if you would like to help with that, by all means, you can reach me. It's at Chris Knight 5150 on Twitter. You can reach me there. And if you want to help with one of those platforms, by all means, you can ask me, and I might be willing to let you help us. but right now, I'm just trying to get everything running again and making sure that we have interaction with you guys. Because I mean, I'm not going to speak for the other 2 above me, but I'm pretty sure that they probably feel the same way. We love it when you guys come in here. We love it, the interaction you guys give us, and we love the whole feel of the things we do here. That's why we do this. So
absolutely,
yes, sir.
So the more you guys tell us, the more responses and interaction we have with you guys, the better this always will be.
Absolutely. And Vile Mike said Andor is the worst Star Wars show since the Ewoks animated show.
That's not true.
To be honest with you, I think the Ewok animated show was better.
There's a live action one too, don't you?
Yeah, the live action one's better too.
Oh God.
Yeah. You know what's even better? Remember that cartoon Droids?
Wow.
Wow.
Even Droids are better than Andor.
So is Andor better than Acolyte?
No. No.
Okay.
No, Andor is not better than Acolyte. Andor is not better than Ahsoka. It's not better than Obi-Wan. It's not even better than the Han Solo movie. And that was ass. Yeah, that's right. I said it. That's right. I said it. But guys, I thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody that came in and chilled with us and voted. Congratulations to Chris on winning. So the score right now is Danny won, Chris won, and me 0. And you know what?
Oh, you gave the win to him, even though the chat gave it to me.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then it was Chris won then. Yeah, Chris
Yep.
won. Well, I mean, yeah. I'll put it like that as the chat, because for me, I said I think Danny won, but the chat said Chris won, so we go with the chat. So Chris is 2-0, and me and Danny are 0-1, 0-1. And yeah, guys, we are not going to let Chris win this. Okay, we're not going to do this. Chris is not going to go 3-0 on the next one. When me and Danny go next week, one of us will break the tie, and we'll see who does that. But it's always fun, man. This is great. Danny, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on my channel, Road to Wisdoms, on Mondays and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I always try to upload it somewhere between 7 and 7:15. You can find me here on Mondays, the 3 Mondays of the month. My show first, Nzo second, Chris third. You can find me on the Hangout, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. And you can find me on Storms Live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Make sure to check out Mr. Danny Graham, Road to Wisdom. And if you haven't checked out the video he did, make sure you check that out. The last one is fire. Definitely. Mr. Knight, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on the Real Review 3000, Honstar YT here on Chaos Central, and wherever else I pop up. Been on a lot of different streams lately since my computer's back up and running. Trying to get back out there and get a lot of basically spread my knowledge to the world of all the things that I am knowledgeable of.
Chris and knowledge in the same sentence does not even sound right.
No, more like omnipotent, celestial thought. That's more like it too. You're
now you see, me and Chris are gonna have an issue with this ego thing, because I think my ego is bigger than Chris's. And when Chris starts talking like that, then I gotta show
only reason
that I am the original grand champion and the first fact and fiction winner. Okay,
but who created that? It's like saying God and Jesus. Jesus is omnipotent. He is powerful, but God is above that. And God created what Jesus was part of. And much like I created the Rumble and I created the Fact or Fiction, and you ended up winning, you're basically Jesus to my God.
Wow.
Well, you can be God, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you're able to do the stuff that you created.
The only reason why your ego is allowed in the room is because mine gives you space.
No, not over, because mine tramples over yours all day, every day.
Oh no, it's all right. It's all right. That ringing in his ear is getting worse now. It's like, oh my God, stop it.
You see, Danny's a churchgoer, so he understands that, people, if your mind ain't right, you can't understand what me and Chris are talking about. And that's why Danny's getting a headache right now. You know what I mean? He can't really relate to greater powers as us. So I'm just saying. Chris,
we'll agree on that one.
Tell the people where they can find you, Chris.
Like I said, Chaos Central, Real Review 3000, Honstar YT, wherever I can jump on. You can find me there. Every Sunday on the Real Review 3000, we're doing the weekly wrap up where we play Jackbox games and other stuff. Sometimes we talk about topics and things. But next week is going to be the Rule of 3. We will have 3 topics. The Choose a Door will be back probably, unless I have more topics, and then we might do the wheel. But we're going to do that next week with 5 new Fact or Fiction. So check that out.
Yes. Another category for me to win. Unbelievable. Keep it going. I am Bigger Ford Entertainment. And again, I want to thank everybody that came in here and enjoyed the show and did their votes. It's always a pleasure. Like I said many times, we wouldn't be able to do this or, have fun without you guys here. So it's always a pleasure for that. With that being said, peace, love, and hair grease. And we are going to end the show. And as you guys don't know, or if you haven't know, or if you forgot, these intros and outros were made by Danny. That is Danny rapping on those things. And, once we got back into it and started playing them, I forgot how much I missed them. So peace, love, and hair grease. And see you on the next one. Peace.
Inevitable.
another Chaos Central production. Chaos list. Starring my main man Nzo. 1/3 of three-headed monster we call the Chaos Central crew. This intro's by this show, the Chaos List. I hope you like it, bro. Here we go. The Chaos List is the name of the show, and the name of the host you know is Nzo. If you say something crazy, dumb, stupid, or wrong, it's a one-way trip to the Phantom Zone to be like Nzo. Hold up, I didn't mean it. Guess what, son? Your ass should have seen it coming. Gotta watch what you say, just like the Mandalorian. And this is the way. Monday night, 9 o'clock. Second Monday of the month, this is the spot. So get ready, strap on in. The crew is ready, so let's begin. So let's go.